It's kind of an interesting notion I picked up once from a Hogan's Heroes episode. Ivan Kinchlow says it one time. He says something to the effect that a lot of people like to go through life kind of semi-mummified. But now you're in a position right here, he's talking to a lady there, that you have to make a choice one way or the other. Right? And this is, I think, somewhat true. There's a class of people that you would somewhat call maybe the moral middle class. They don't want to be profoundly good or profoundly evil. And I have a theory about this concerning perhaps religion. I suppose you could substitute religion for, biological evolution if you're an atheist or something like that. But it feels like the more people become aware of right and wrong, the less that equilibrium, the less that moral, maintaining their status as like a moral middle classer becomes a thing. And it seems like, with regards to religion at least, Christianity, the more it spreads, the more it will make people profoundly good or profoundly evil. So there's prophecies that in the last days men will wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived and stuff like that. And I wonder if it might not be an effect of this nature, that the more knowledge you have as a person, the harder it becomes to maintain this type of blah lifestyle. That's my theory anyways. Alright, moving on. We're going to do a video by Dr. K, and then look at the Berbers, and then do a little of gaming.
So I saw this hilarious meme of we need a slur.
Yeah, sorry. What was it? How AI is killing your potential.
So I saw this hilarious meme of we need a slur.
P.S. I was able to get my headphones working with this new microphone, which I am inordinately proud of. No, I literally just had to go into the settings and look up the thing and see that it was, allowing for, I think there's a headphone jack in the microphone itself, so it's kind of, I don't know if it gives you an option to have the audio go through that, so I think that's what was happening.
To describe people who use ChatGPT for everything. So AI is having a profound impact on our society. And the tricky thing about it is that the impact varies, right? So if you're a CEO, or you guys may have heard about how this company is like, they're going to replace 30% of their workforce with AI.
I don't know. I feel like this innovation, like any innovation, is going to, merit a movement of people and materials to different locations. But I feel like the slack is always picked up somewhere else. You just have a different industry rise kind of in the place of it that employs people. It's one of those things where, in theory, you could... I don't know if we're going to reach the end of it, like the ideal state of, living. It feels like you can always raise the status of living, in which case, the more you innovate, the more you just move people to different areas where you can prove more. I guess I don't know. That sounds stupid. No, but the idea would be like, if you improve life in this particular area, then you just raise the bar and people want to improve life over here, so you just move people over here to this, I guess maybe less... There would be one point to be made that it would become less of a necessity and more of a luxury type of industry. The more you replace the people's necessary jobs with robots or something like that, or those become automated. And I think sometimes people get a little bit too reactionary.
Students have stopped writing essays because thankfully we have AI now. And on the flip side, there are a lot of people who are terrified of AI, right? What if I'm one of the 30% of people that AI is going to get rid of in my job? So today we're going to talk about the impact of AI on your brain. TLDR, the more you use AI, the more your brain will rust. So let's start with a couple of really, really important misconceptions.
Well, the entire notion in a lot of cases is that AI still needs kind of a thing to be trained off of. Like, I don't know if you can train AI off of other AI. I think it gets, like, the code starts to get really weird if you do so. So, you, like, at the end of the day, you still need at least some people who know how to make art, who know how to do this stuff, so that you can train the AI, the AI off of them, and then send it to go forth and conquer.
So the first misconception that I want to address is that AI gives us access to a lot of information and AI knows everything on the planet. I actually think this is not the case at all. If you are knowledgeable about a particular subject and you talk to...
Actually, I really agree with them. Like, I almost don't use it at all for searches, really. Like, I almost always want to go to the primary source, because, like, there have been times when I was looking at the answer they gave me, and if it was something I knew about, you could tell that sometimes they were literally just feeding you a load of BS. Like, it was like the information you get from these things is at best shallow, and probably at worst, well, he goes into this actually, I think it's at best shallow, and worst, it's completely inaccurate. It's something they are saying to make you happy.
AI about that subject, you will quickly discover that AI doesn't know much at all. So this is kind of weird, but I want y'all to think about this for a second. What we saw with Google was very similar. So when Google came out, everyone was like, there's no point in learning anything because all of the information on the planet is at our fingertips. I can just do a Google search and it can give me an answer. AI and Google has access to very little information. It has access to the surface level of information, right? So back in the day when I did a Google search, if I did a Google search, it would say 68,000 hits, and everyone on the planet would see the first 10. So if you really think about it, the total amount of information that is available on the internet is very, very, very high. But the percentage of information that people have access to through Google is actually really low. The practical amount of information...
Obviously, it selects for popularity, not dissimilar to the notion of videos and whatever, or perhaps who's paid for their results to be there. So it doesn't feel like it's very good. Like, it's not like it's not necessarily like a meritocracy based upon the value of the information, that you're getting the best information on blank subject. You're getting the most popular, or the person who had the most wealth so they could pay for it information
that people can learn from Google is incredibly small. Sure, if you spent 5 years going through 68,000 results and reading everything, maybe you could learn a lot, but even then, most of those results are just duplicated blog posts with the same recycled ideas. You'll kind of get what I'm saying? Google doesn't teach you any kind of deep learning. It just gives everyone access to the most basic information. And AI, I think, is even worse at this. So what AI is really good at doing is giving you a surface level explanation presented in a very digestible way, in a very sycophantic way. If you guys didn't watch our video about AI.
So it's patronizing me. A robot is patronizing me. The dumbing stuff. Stupid.
AI-induced psychosis. Highly recommend you check it out. But basically what AI is going to do is give you an answer that makes you think you know the answer instead of giving you the real answer. And I did a really simple test. I asked ChatGPT, what is meditation? And the answer that I got was very evidence-based. It's beautiful. It talks about the different kinds of meditation, talks about the different, ways in which meditation activates the brain, right? So this may be filtered in some way by the questions that I usually ask my ChatGPT. And then it also had this really beautiful sentence of like, okay, I'm going to remove all the fluff, but I'm going to stay true to...
This is going to maybe sound a little bit weird, but I guess I just in general do not trust the answers that a robot will give you on a lot of subjects, because it feels like with regards to a lot of subjects, it basically comes back to human experience. You want to know how a human felt in this scenario, or what a human thinks of blank thing. You don't want to know what a robot thinks about, because obviously they don't really experience, and if they did experience, their experience would probably be entirely different than ours. So the whole notion of I just don't, it's not my cup of tea.
The spiritual roots of meditation, which it did not do at all. right? So we know that ChatGPT and AIs will hallucinate. So I asked it this question about meditation. This is the answer that I got. Then I asked it a second question about meditation. I said, what is Vajrayana meditation? And it essentially gave me the same answer. You guys can see for yourself. It talks about gamma band improvement, talks about default mode network. It talks about emotional regulation and using imagery. It gives you this answer of what Vajrayana meditation is, which is really similar to the first answer. And Vajrayana meditation is not what ChatGPT, it's completely wrong. It's not about imagery or emotional regulation at all. Vajrayana meditation
No. You think you know what you're talking about? This is a professional AI.
literally, if you stay true to its original roots, Vajrayana meditation is Tantric Buddhism, which is using tantric techniques, certain rituals, chanting mantras to access the cosmic energy of extraplanar beings, deities, and
Which?
these weird devas and bodhisattvas that are floating around
Bring wood and oil. Sorry.
in the non-material world. We are invoking them and asking them to help us out in the
Here's a question. I wonder about this, honestly. Like, was the whole, like, witchcraft and whatnot, was that only a thing that was really kind of, like, inquisitions or outlawed in the West? It feels like the notion of, like, shaman or witch doctors or, like, that was the kind of thing that was very prevalent in other areas of the world. I think the notion of fortune tellers was highly disparaged, or, whatever, like necromancers, people who would call up the dead for you to talk to them. That was a thing that was very disparaged in the Bible. They would, they would actually kind of kill those people, I think, sometimes. So that I wonder if that was more so only a thing in the West, where they would actually, like, hunt out witches, something. Most of the rest of the world, it feels like they kind of look to them for healing or spiritual guidance. For the record, I don't know. I don't know. I suppose they maybe shouldn't be killed, but I also don't really approve of the whole notion.
real world. But ChatGPT misses this by a mile. If y'all are curious about that stuff, this is kind of funny. So I did this lecture called The Weird Stuff, where I explain how all these weird kinds of meditation work. Turned out to be a really... people liked the lecture a lot, so then we did a part 2, part 3, part 4. Y'all can check it out over here if you're curious about how Vajrayana and Tantra actually work from a mechanistic standpoint. You guys can check those out. I try to make it as scientific as possible. But anyway, back to ChatGPT. So here's my thesis, that the more that we use AI, first of all, it doesn't replace a whole lot of skills. All it does is make the surface level answers easily available to everyone on the planet. The more that you use AI, it has a couple of really interesting impacts on us. So the first thing that AI usage does is rust our brain. So everyone is kind of talking about brain rot nowadays, which is like when my mind doesn't function properly. I think
well, and I think that has to do with the notion of like how how much like things like TikTok or Shorts or whatever has degraded our attention span, which is like a real thing, which I guess I'm trying to work on somewhat. I need to get back into reading books. I think that'd be like a good training mechanism for that, where you could actually focus on stuff for like longer or whatnot. But yeah, there might be other symptoms there too, not just like an attention span.
Better term for it, especially when it comes to AI, is brain rust. So if we look at this study on critical thinking that was done at MIT, it basically, in this study, they compared 3 groups of people who are trying to figure something out on their own, people who are using Google, and people who are using AI. And I think it was ChatGPT.
Okay, this is actually kind of an interesting notion. Like, do you guys think that the actual degradation of an entire society is possible? To the point where, like, they can get to a technological kind of stage where they actually become so lethargic that they lose their ability to maintain their like technological advances? Because there would have been notions like this in a lot of like probably sci-fi and stuff like that. I was thinking of Isaac Asimov's Foundation, where the notion was that they had created like atomic engines that would last from generation to generation, so no one actually had to know how atomics worked. Like, basically, they lost the ability to actually understand this stuff or to maintain it in a really efficacious way. to the point where they were all just sliding back into the abyss. And I guess I feel like, given the recusant nature of individuals, like in a group of several millions of people, you're always going to have that one dude who's like, no, I don't want to use any of that. Some Luddite who's just like back to the earth, who gets the basics down for himself. There's going to be some dude who really wants to take up mechanical work. There's going to be some dude who's like, I guess I don't know to what extent something like that, like a really like crazy sort of backsliding is possible. Like that level of degradation in society, I guess I don't know. But maybe it's the very fear of it that makes it impossible, I suppose. Maybe it's good that people are afraid. I said that before, I think, or something to that effect.
And basically what they found is that the people...
Not with regards to this exact thing, but with regards to the notion, I think, of governments taking over, surveillance states, or conspiracy theorists, I think.
People who use AI more, their critical thinking is being diminished. And this is something that we see all the time. There is a huge alarm bell being rung by professors at universities. So I used to be an academic at Harvard Medical School, and so
I do think is like an actual thing. Like where the more you're just being fed information, the less like it feels like ambition is perhaps in short supply these days, which is not a good thing in my mind. It's something about the comfortable lethargic nature of society, perhaps, that allows people to just kind of lay back and let it all happen, let life happen to them.
A lot of colleagues that are still in academia, I left to talk to y'all because I love y'all so much, right? Screw that academic stuff. And basically what we're seeing is that students are getting lazier, they're getting dumber, they're literally losing their capacity to think. And this is happening for people who are incredibly young. So here's an example from an 8th grade teacher about what she's seeing.
I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than a sentence. They cannot connect cause.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like, I don't know if there's like a really hard and fast solution to this, but it feels like that. Yeah, I don't know.
An effect. They can't track multi-step ideas like in a political cartoon. I had a kid yesterday. 4 kids, actually. This happened in every class.
I do think a part of this, well, I suppose you could blame like COVID for some of it as well, but I do think part of this is like the methodology of teaching has changed to the point where they allow phones in schools so people can just look up stuff, blah, 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 blah. It becomes kind of the answer to every question. Just look it up. Which I think is, it's a good tool to be used, but also you need to, like, to be able to do anything efficaciously, you need to be able to have that information in your head and, create with it.
We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what
Maryland.
they do is they look at me and then they look at their notes and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me. They never figured out the answer.
So I
It's the eyes see when the mouth speaks, but all activity has clearly ceased or something.
think this example illustrates what we're seeing overall. And it's not just...
I guess the question I would have is, like, what do you think the essence of creativity is? Because I think a very necessary prerequisite to creativity is getting all the information under one roof and letting it bang around against each other. Like, you have to have the information in your head if you want to be able to innovate or do stuff like that. In the advent of AI and the ability to look all this stuff up and to keep none of it in your head, to remember none of this stuff, like I think you will see it's a very serious decline in creativity of sorts. And maybe it's a. I guess maybe one could argue that it's an other functionality. Maybe their functionality is going somewhere else, and they're trying to learn how to do blank thing that has nothing to do with school or something like that. But it just still feels like you gotta teach them some of this stuff, because some of this is like really basic.
This one study from MIT, here are a couple of other studies that show the impact of using AI on academic performance. And so this is really interesting. I want y'all to pay attention to what this paper actually says, okay? The findings reveal that AI offers significant benefits, including personalized learning, improved academic outcomes, and enhanced student engagement. However, challenges such as over-reliance on AI, diminished critical thinking skills, data privacy risks, and academic dishonesty were also identified. So I want y'all to pay attention to what this really means.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI.
What this means is that if you give a student an AI,
That's heretical. They're just giving us an advertisement for AI. You think they would catch the drift from the video I'm watching?
academic outcomes will improve. If you give them an essay and they use AI, they write a good essay. The problem is that their critical thinking skills, their ability to write essays will actually be diminished. So this is what
there's an idea, I think, in the notion of this is perhaps fundamental, that we as humans are actually looking for perfection, which I don't think is necessarily true. I don't think it's true in my case, and I think there are other people who would identify with this. I don't know if we were looking for something that's perfect. I think, this mechanization of stuff like this, it will create a perfect end product. That's the idea of it, that it creates like this flawless, mechanized, soulless end product. Which is, I don't know if I really like that necessarily. I prefer something that's flawed in a way that I understand and can relate to. Functional, yes, but not necessarily perfect. I don't know if that's necessarily what we look for as humans. And the notion would be like, okay, is perfection actually the goal? Is perfection actually the ideal state? I tend to think functionality is it's something we want, certainly, but not necessarily perfection. I don't know if that's what we strive for as humans, per se.
what I want y'all to understand about the human body and the human brain. The human brain and the human body do not wear out, they rust. So if I take something like a phone, the phone will decrease in quality the more it is used. A physical object that is non-organic and not alive, basically the more you use it, the more it wears out. An organic or biological object is the opposite. If I sit on my ass all the time, my body actually decays.
It's kind of a really interesting point, actually. Yes. The stagnation of whatever. It's not exactly something that exists in regards to, mechanisms. Well, technically, mechanisms do rust if you leave them alone for long enough. But
the more that I exercise, my cellular aging can...
Technically, either way, mechanisms will always degrade over time. But generally, I think he's right in that. Never mind. Just let him
improve. My telomeres will get longer. When we use our body, it gets better. When we use our brain, it gets better. So what we're seeing from AI, the more that people use AI, the more it is rusting their brains. So how do we grapple with this idea that AI is going to replace a bunch of jobs? So here's...
All right. There's a good way to end it. Get out, do more stuff with your brain and body. Okay? Okay, that's How to AI is Killing Your Potential by healthygamers.gg, a.k.a. Dr. K. All right. Berbers. Berbers, or the Berber peoples, also known as Amazigh or Imazigan, are diverse grouping of distinct ethnic groups indigenous to North Africa who predate the arrival of the Arabs in the Maghreb. successive waves of migration and settlement by Arab people in the Maghreb region of Africa, encompassing modern-day Algeria, Libya, Morocco, and Tunisia. It's weird, actually. I would almost classify North Africa, Southern Europe as kind of they all kind of have a lot of the same features, I think, a little bit. And it has to do, I think, with the notion that there was always, like Mediterranean area was like a nexus of trade, and probably still is to some extent. So there was a lot of, obviously intermarrying / canoodling / whatever that took place. So you'd almost classify them as their own kind of racial grouping. There's like kind of a Mediterranean grouping. Mediterranean racial group. Coined and minted. Alright. Their main connections are identified by their usage of the Berber languages, mostly of them mutually unintelligible, which are part of the Afro-Asiatic language family. They are indigenous to the Maghreb region of North Africa, where they live in scattered communities across parts of Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and to a lesser extent Tunisia, Mauritania, North Mali, and northern Niger. Smaller Berber communities are also found in Burkina Faso and Egypt's Siwa oasis, descending from the Stone Age cultures indigenous to North Africa. Accounts of the Imagzigan were first mentioned in ancient Egyptian writings. From about 2000 BC, Berber languages spread westward from the Nile Valley across the northern Sahara into Maghreb. A series of Berbers peoples such as Maori, Masasili, gave rise to the Berber kingdoms such as Numidia, Mauritania, and other kingdoms appeared in late antiquity such as Altava, Aresenis, Hodna. Berber kingdoms were eventually suppressed by the Arab conquests of the 7th and 8th centuries AD. This started the process of cultural and linguistic assimilation known as Arabization. Imperialism! Yay! Hey, they were kind of the OGs a little bit. That was the 7th and 8th. Yeah, that would have predated a lot of the European imperialization that took place, I think. Arabization involved the spread of the Arabic language and Arab culture among the Berbers, leading to the adoption of Arabic as the primary language and conversion to Islam. Notably, the Arab migration into Maghreb from the 7th century to the 17th century accelerated this process. Berber tribes remained powerful political forces and founded new ruling dynasties in the 10th and 11th centuries, such as Zirids, Mahdids, and various Zenata principalities. In the western Maghreb, several Taifa kingdoms and empires of the Almoravids. Alright, let's get something good. From the 16th century onward, the process continued in the absence of Berber dynasties. In Morocco, they were replaced by Arabs claiming descended from Islamic prophet Muhammad. Berbers are divided into several diverse ethnic groups, and Berber languages such as Kabyles, Chawis, Riffians. Historically, the Berbers across the region did not see themselves as a single cultural or linguistic unit, nor was there a greater Berber community due to their different cultures, as they did not refer to themselves as Berber, but had their own terms to refer to their groups and communities. They started being referred to collectively as Berbers after the Arab conquest of the 7th centuries, and this distinction was revived by a French colonial administration in the 19th century. Today, the term Berber is viewed as pejorative by many people who prefer the term Amazigh. I'm not going to use that. I can barely pronounce it. Since late 20th century, a transnational movement known as Berberism, or the Berber culture movement, has emerged from various parts of the Berber populations of North Africa to promote the collective blah 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 Berber. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. A little bit sorry. No. Berber ethnic identity and to militate for greater linguistic rights and cultural recognition. Interesting. All right. We'll leave the rest of that to whatever. All right. Evil genius. For the wind. In this case, you're going on the opposite end of it. What does that thing mean? Hates food. What the? Harry? Picky eater? Game master. Bookworm. Oh. Different beds. Actually,
A trap has been triggered.
suckers. I think when you get past it all, they just kind of get sent back, hopefully.
A trap has been triggered.
I should probably just do it. There we go.
A trap has been triggered.
Why is there still AU particles missions? Like, I'm not supposed to feel more of those, am I?
Your scientists have made a breakthrough.
Alright, life drawing. Da, 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 da. Oh, there we go.
Research has begun.
Barracks. That's what we're doing here. Here, at least. Alright. Well. Need them. I just think that eventually, you know. How long that research can take. Busy. Open this.
A trap has been triggered.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's the one. That'll help. Alright. Sucker. Good luck, defenders. Love to see some soldiers show.
A trap has been triggered.
What I could do is create another vault on the second floor. Like, is there a way to actually improve our storage at this point, or is it all just going to be construction depot?
A trap
large amount
has
of
been
gold.
triggered.
Alright, mega save, so that's a little bit further on though. Alright, what else is supposed to do with it? Steel silver revolver on the world stage. This one? There we go. Hey, hey, hey.
A trap has been triggered.
I could use this better training room as well. Have two of each. Or I could pop back in
scheme has succeeded.
Yeah, okay, that's not gonna do anything right now. Yeah, good luck, Shamako. Now. Oh. Actually more area to build up here. I wonder if that's going to come a thing at some point.
I suppose you think you're very clever, Mr. Barracuda.
I'm as shocked as you. Who could have guessed that gun was a decoy with a Patriot homing beacon inside?
This is your final warning.
You geniuses think you're above the rest of us. But whatever you can do with a whole army, I can do myself.
You and me, we are on even ground. And if you come at me again, I'll put you in it.
The heat at a criminal network has attracted the forces of justice.
Can't do anything there.
I have stepped into the ring!
One of these things I just literally can't do. I don't know if that's something I can do. Maybe. Let's create another control thing up here. I can put some stuff in. Right. Let's try this again. Right here, 4, Mr. 5 feet tall and 5 feet wide. Alright, good enough? Good. What do we want here? Get some advanced radio repeaters here. Alright, now computer consoles.
A scheme has succeeded. A scheme has succeeded. Task complete.
The Midas device seems to be operating within normal parameters, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary.
That's what they said about me, you know? That I'd only ever be average. My inventions used to fail, you know.
I didn't know you were a scientist before you became a businessman.
Not many do. Despite my boasts, my abilities weren't up to scratch. Of course, I can trust you to keep my secret. What's the expression? Dead men tell no tales. Everyone else, keep improving the machine. Keep building our organization. The day for domination.
Alright. So, minion type, so great. Oh, see.
New main objective available.
I just thought of something I wanted to. Wasn't a lab.
A small fire
Vault.
has started in your lair.
What the?
An inferno is raging in your lair.
Someone get in there. Okay, there may have been saboteurs involved.
An item has been destroyed.
Minions, hunt down Blue Saint and capture him. Kill him!
I wonder if this is the thing you tweet something or what?
A minion has caught fire.
There. Alright, someone's
An
getting
item has been destroyed.
Tercera caída. You have won this round.
Sweet glory, that was something, wasn't it?
Build more rockers if you want more minions. An item has been destroyed.
Nice. I might
The
place all
fires
these.
are being dealt with.
Alright.
The fires are almost under control.
Files.
All fires have been extinguished.
No. That's still going on, right? Nice. Testing dome. I don't know. That's actually another thing I should complete a workshop. I can have like more so like a 3 count of each of these things. Makes things go faster. Replace these two at some point. Alright. What else do we need? We need... So, workshop. Let's do a nice big one of those. Alright. Let's go.
trap has been triggered.
So go check on it. June Rose. I thought that guy was supposed
A
to
trap
be, like,
has been triggered.
arrested or something. Haha, suckers. I don't know, is that the equivalent of like walking away while the video's playing? Alright, walking in. Not even could do it right now. Like those optional things.
New optional objective available.
Alright, now what should I get? Here. Do we want more? Vault space. That's the real question, isn't it? Okay, it's almost done. Compact bedding. I don't know if that'll be enough to put me where I need to be with the rest of that stuff. Super serum is cheap.
New research has been completed.
You need a place to store their jumpsuit in. So this is a locker thing. Right? Compact lockers. Okay. Huzzah. Hopefully don't need as much space for those. Let's just get a couple of these. Compact lockers. Yeah.
A trap has been triggered. Not enough rockers to support your current minion count.
Is that effectively just meaning to beat him to the punch? Okay, so you don't actually capture them, because I captured that guy, right?
A trap has been triggered.
What do you get exactly for? Alright. What's the actual capacity of these? Let's go. Wait, output 20,
A trap has been triggered.
20. So these are 3 per thing. It's about double. 6 plus 6 is 12. And this takes up a good, like, let's say it's almost double for the space.
Salaries paid.
So I'm getting lots of intel through, so that's good. Hopefully don't need to worry about that as much anymore. Some water here.
None of your secrets are safe from Agent X.
Alright. Crap out. Alright. Do not have any thingies. The deuce. We didn't have any projects.
A trap has been triggered.
Oh, that is it. Yeah, it's gone.
Herald Rising Stuff Technique.
Oh, sweet glory. So there's something.
Feel my wrinkled fist. See, this one may be spent for time. This minion needs to be ignored. I need Agent X to be taken alive
Super
when you see
investigation.
him.
That's how they got through. Now, where am I supposed to realize past? It's supposed to be African? That's a little bit trite.
A trap has been triggered.
You've got me this time, but Agent X never misses a trick.
So. Alright, fine. I'll leave that one. This one. Super Rogue. Where is this one about Eli's past? A particle. A particle.
A criminal network has been upgraded.
I want to find that one last thing. Eli's past. Eli's past. That's not it. Harry is this thing?
Optional objective complete.
Yes, huzzah.
A criminal network has been upgraded.
I have to look this one up. Okay, am I just missing it somehow? No, that's not it. Agent Shaken and Stirred. Miss Foxworth. Nice. There's nothing that even remotely looks like. Up. Stupid. Renetta? Alright. Evil Genius. Because this is almost too specific.
A trap has been triggered. trap has been triggered.
Oh, maybe it does show. It shouldn't. Right here. So, I think it's supposed to be in America. Like I don't see it. If it's supposed to be in here, do I have to get rid of that agent first or something? Popular. Let me see. I guess I'll try
You
that.
know your mission, Agent Steele.
All right.
Salaries paid.
Did I lose a trainer? Alright, so what do we have? We have 2 of those fire trainers, 1 mercenary trainer, ballet trainer, a socialite, up there. Unless that's a scientist. Is it a scientist or a... That's a technician trainer. And, we're missing one of these. Those. Biologist. Anything else? I think we're good. Fusion generator, compact blockers, advanced security stations. What are these?
Research has begun.
Jane Steele, super agent.
You're in emergency power.
You lost this battle the moment Steel took the field.
Come on.
New optional objective available.
Your minions are nothing more than target practice.
So, like, where the hairy is that mission? For what's his face? Eli J. Barracuda.
Yes. Eliminate all targets.
It's like it's just a case where it didn't spawn. Stupid.
That's how your minions dress. No wonder Agent Steel prevailed.
Research has begun.
My agents train in every combat art there is. Yes. Eliminate all targets.
Agent Steel is here. Hunt them down and eliminate them. What do you ask of me?
You lost this battle the moment Steel took the field.
Agent Steel is in the lab.
Huh? I am old, not stupid.
That's how your minions dress. No wonder Agent Steel prevailed.
Moving. No, you do it.
Your minions are nothing more than target practice.
No, I'm too old for this.
My agents train in every combat art there is. You lost this battle the moment Steel took the field. Your minions are nothing more than target practice. Yes. Eliminate all targets.
Anya?
That's how your minions dress. No wonder Agent Steel prevailed.
Jeez.
My agents train in every combat art there is.
Eli J. Barracuda, where the hairy
You
is
lost this battle the moment Steel took the field.
Yes, I remember.
Your minions are nothing more than target practice. The name of Steel can survive anything.
A scheme has succeeded.
Let's try this, I guess. Maybe it'll reset them.
A scheme has succeeded.
Tranquility? So boring.
A scheme has succeeded.
So the agents do move around, because this guy was in South America the first time, right? Let's see, maybe, I don't know if that'll open things up or not. Or if I can switch objectives. I think I can switch them. Alright, I think that's enough for today. If I can't find that guy, I'll see, maybe I can find him on my off time. This will probably be the last thing I do for the new year and whatnot, so have fun, happy holidays, etc., etc. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much.